Coach Hightower, last time that we got to talk, we talked about you the entire time, your career, where you learned how to coach, all the victories you've had, and it was right before your induction into the Louisiana Hall of Fame. I know that coaches would rather talk about their teams than themselves, so we'll get this question out of the way, and then we'll talk about your team. How was that ceremony for you, the Louisiana Hall of Fame? I'm guessing that was a very special moment for you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Number one, they really do a first-class job in everything that touches the inductees. I mean, the ceremony they had, the meal, the MC, the presentations, everything they did was very first class. So, they really did a lot to make you feel special. But the thing that really made the event for me was the support I had from my coaching staff, the STM family. We had, and my own personal family. I had great support from them, and that made me feel really honored.
Yep, and we're getting closer to football season, and I'm kicking off kind of a season preview, so let's look at that 2016 season, but I think before we get into it, I think you kind of have to look back. I was with your team in the Superdome. We've talked about it before. It was such an electric moment for you guys and your fan base. I mean, you guys were a couple plays away from a state championship. How much momentum do you guys think that gives you heading into this season?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think we had kind of a shot in the arm as we moved into our off season. But I mean, really now, that the slate's pretty much wiped clean. We're starting out the season 0-0, and the 2015 team is a thing of the past. And now we're working with the 2016 team. So, I think it gave us a shot early, as we headed into the off-season program. But now I think, we're back to the grind. We're back to trying to become a better team day by day.
And part of the reason you guys made it so far last season was you had a very special senior class, guys like Will Bellamy, Trevor Beggy, just two of the names. And, of course, when people probably look at next season, they'll say, oh, well, how are you going to replace those guys? You guys are a program that always has a lot of depth, people waiting in the wings. Have you kind of pegged a couple guys that might step up, maybe not just as starters or anything like that? I won't have you show your cards, but maybe some guys that have stepped up during the offseason as leaders.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I mean, there's still question marks. I mean, and really, the team kind of develops itself over the first 4 or 5 non-district games. That's when you really get to see, what you've got. Because, under the lights in the heat of competition, I mean, that's where you're forward. So anything you see before that is maybe a glimpse into the possibilities, but you never really know until it happens on the field.
Head coach Jim Hightower of the STM Cougars is our guest right now. And Coach Trey Labatt of the Advertiser wrote a really good article about one of your players, Griffin Hebert. If people aren't familiar with Griffin, he checks in at about 6'3". He can run like the wind, and he's got hands that have like flypaper on them sometimes. Is he one of the players that your staff is kind of expecting to have a big season for you guys next year?
Oh, absolutely. Now, he made a lot of big plays for us last season, especially down the stretch. But he also is going to have to be carrying more of the load. It's a little easier going out there running routes when you've got people double covering Trevor, on every snap. So, his scoring's going to be a little harder than it was at the end of last season, but he's had a great off season. He's should have the confidence carry over from what he was able to accomplish last season. And he's developed physically, he's a lot more mature physically. So we're definitely going to be counting on Griffin to have a real breakout season for us this year.
Yeah, and I mentioned Griffin's physical gifts, his height, his speed, everything like that. But at this phase in his career, I have to guess that his maturity and his football IQ probably have to be a huge upside for him, too. I mean, the guy's got offers from Louisiana Tech and other schools, too.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, oh, no, there's no doubt. He's definitely stepped up a lot from where he started, back as a sophomore. He's been on a constant improvement program, and, I'll have to give our credit to Coach Struther and Coach Abwell for bringing him along and being a part of that development, and he won't be the only the only guy out there. We've got Matthew Lagrange, who made a lot of big plays for us last season, pretty much a jack of all trades, as a kick returner and punt returner, and, made a tremendous catch against Flackman, the last 2 seconds of the ball game to win the ball game for us. So, another guy with some big play potential.
And talking about the guy that might be throwing passes to him, have you and your coaching staff officially named a replacement for Will Bellamy at quarterback?
Well, I think that competition's going to continue probably all season. I mean, we'll probably, having a starter and having a backup ready to go. But, I'd say right now Nate Cox is the upper hand. He's, of course, returning senior, and, he's got a maturity edge on the other quarterbacks. So Peyton Landry being the main primary candidate, I guess, to be his competition. So, Nate has shown that he can throw the deep ball, and he's got some touch. We'll just have to see how it develops over the next few months.
And people, of course, always get infatuated with your offense, with your players, your skill players. Your defense was a huge part of your success last year. Obviously, you have to have both sides of the ball going for you to make a run like
Absolutely.
you guys did. Same question pretty much on the defensive side of the ball. Do you have maybe a couple guys that have stepped up as leaders so far?
Well, we had a lot of misfortune last season in that we had some really devastating injuries early in the season, including the very first day of practice. And, so injuries played a big part in what we were able to put on the field last year. And, on the plus side, we hope to be getting, we will be getting Hunter Clay back. He was the player who was hurt on the very first day of practice. And, we were really counting on Hunter to be the mainstay in the defensive line. He started as a sophomore for us, and he missed his whole junior year, so it'll be great to have Hunter back. Another dominant player that really had a great close to the season last year, and a guy that we were really counting on to kind of be the ringleader of the defense. Noah Fontenot, he suffered a knee injury in our spring scrimmage. And so he's been on the mend all summer, and we're not sure exactly when he'll be available to play. But there was kind of the unofficial captain of the defense, at the linebacker position, and Noah was really a spark plug for that unit. So we'll miss him. Somebody else is going to have to step in and take his place until Noah gets ready to go.
And, Coach, as your team always does, I'm looking at your schedule right now. You guys always play tough teams to start off the season. I'll use a Tony Robichaux quote right here. He said, "You can't sharpen a knife on a paper plate." I mean, you guys are playing Sulphur, Bird, Plaquemine, Catholic, Baton Rouge early on in the season. Why is it that...
And don't forget Hornville. I mean, look, those first 5 games are murderous. I mean, we do typically try and schedule a very stiff competition. I think this is the stiffest we've ever had, just by knowing what players they have returning and how good a squads they're going to be. Sulphur played us with a very young crew last year. They're going to be a veteran crew returning with a lot of weapons coming back. So they're going to be a really tough opener. We're playing Bird, who's made it a habit of getting to the Superdome here over the last decade. They're going to be tougher than anybody we've seen at the Border Bowl competition in Shreveport. So that's a step up. Catholic is returning a lot from their state championship team last year, including, running backs, blocking backs, most of their line, defensive end. They've got 3 LSU commitments on their team. So they're going to be really tough. And then Plaquemine, like I said earlier, we had to take them down to the last second of the ball game to beat them last year. Again, returning with a real group of quality players. And then to close that stretch out, we go to Hunville, not a real easy place to play, and against a team that we really shocked last year. in week 5, and I know that they've got us scheduled in red letters on their schedule. So, going to be a really tough 5 weeks.
No, that's exactly what I was looking at whenever I saw it. I said, goodness gracious, Bird, Plaquemine, Catholic of Baton Rouge, and you mentioned Hahnville too. I imagine your guys have to be chomping at the bit to get ready for some action. I mean, I said football season will be upon us before we even realize it. What's been kind of your guys' message or your mantra? Has it been any different than what you guys have told your guys in previous off seasons, or has it been kind of a similar message?
I think a similar message. I think we've got a formula that seems to work for us. I mean, we work hard all the time. We try and prepare, physically, mentally. We work a lot with the skill people over the summer and, 7-on-7 competitions. And by the way, we do have a 7-on-7 competition coming up next week, sponsored by the Quick Slants magazine, and that'll take place at St. Thomas More. So, those events give us a chance to work with the passers, the catchers, the defensive backfield, the linebackers. So, you get some good work with the skill people that way, and so you kind of have an idea of what's happening when you hit the field in August.
All right, Coach, just one more for you, and I know you always like to answer questions like this. There's one thing that you know is going to be constant next season, as it is every single year, and it's been the fan support for you guys. You mentioned how special it was for you at the Louisiana Hall of Fame induction to have your STM family there. I saw the support you guys had in the Dome. I mean, in your decades now of coaching, how much perspective has it given you on really the support that you receive and how special that is as a coach?
Well, I'm very appreciative of it, and we definitely don't take it for granted. I think our staff really reaches out to our football family. I think our guys know that they're doing more than just coaching the game of football. We're trying to teach them some life skills that they're going to be able to take with them, and we do that in unison with our parental group. So it's. I think we've got great support, but I think our coaching staff does a lot to kind of earn that support, and hopefully we'll all benefit from it.
STM head coach Jim Hightower has been our guest. Coach, I'll have to see you out at that 7-on-7 competition because I'm itching to see some football, and thank you for the time.
Okay, well we'll have an awful lot of Acadiana there to show what they've got.